Ever wondered why the Brits drive on the left side of the road? Maybe it's because they've been doing it since Roman times. Yes, you heard it right. London's history is as twisty and turny as the Thames itself, dating back to when the Romans decided to call it Londinium. It's got all the charm and chaos of a city that's been around the block a few times. So without further ado, let's dive into the history of this fascinating city and find out. When the Romans came to town in AD 43, they didn't find much. Just a bunch of unruly tribesmen and a river, so they got to work and built Londinium. Imagine, if you will, a time when the hustle and bustle of London were nothing but the whispers of the future. The Romans, those grand architects of antiquity, found themselves on the banks of the River Thames with little more than their dreams and a handful of tribesmen for company. They saw potential in this wild, untamed land, and thus they set forth in creating Londinium, a beacon of Roman civilization in the heart of Britannia. Londinium was not chosen randomly. Oh no, it was a strategic masterpiece. It sat at the lowest point the Thames could be crossed, making it a crucial hub for trade and military operations. Before you could say Veni, Vidi, Vici, Londinium was growing faster than a Roman senator's ego, becoming a vital link in the vast network of the Roman Empire. Now, life in Roman London was not all gladiatorial games and feasting. Picture this. You're a Roman citizen going about your daily business when suddenly you're slapped with a fine for not cleaning your toga. Yes, you heard it right. Londinium's residents were subject to a myriad of strange laws, including the strict maintenance of their togas. One could argue that they were the pioneers of the modern-day fashion police. As Londinium expanded, so did its influence. It was a city of merchants and soldiers, scholars and slaves, a melting pot of people from all corners of the Roman Empire. It was a city of contrasts, where grand villas stood alongside modest huts, where the rich and the poor crossed paths daily in the bustling marketplaces and bathhouses. By the end of the 2nd century, Londinium had transformed from a remote outpost to a thriving metropolis, boasting an impressive array of public buildings, including the Basilica and Forum, the largest of their kind north of the Alps. So, next time you're stuck in traffic on London Bridge, remember you're following in some very old wheel ruts. Fast forward a few centuries and London's got itself a tower, a bridge and a whole lot of rats. Oh, and a plague. Stepping into the medieval era, London was a city of contrasts, a bustling hub of trade and culture, yet also a breeding ground for disease. Among the most infamous of these was the Black Death that swept through the city in the 14th century, wiping out about 60% of the population. It was a time of despair, with the city's narrow, crowded streets offering the perfect environment for the plague-ridden rats to thrive. Now, amidst all this gloom, let's bring in the Great Fire of London, shall we? In 1666, a small flame in a bakery on Pudding Lane turned into a 3-day inferno, reducing much of the city to ashes. But on the bright side, it did help get rid of some of those pesky rats and the lingering plague. But it wasn't all fire and plague. Medieval London also saw the rise of one of its most iconic landmarks, the Tower of London. Constructed by William the Conqueror, it served as a royal palace, a treasury, a menagerie and a prison. Its most famous prisoner? None other than Queen Elizabeth I, before she became queen, of course. Bet she never thought she'd go from the tower's dank cells to ruling an empire. Speaking of the Queen, she had such an intense fear of the plague that she relocated her court to Windsor Castle, where she had gallows set up and decreed that anyone arriving from London would face execution. So, there you have it. A snapshot of London in the time of plague, fire and a tower. A city of resilience and transformation, where history was written in the ashes of tragedy and the stones of a tower. So, the next time you're enjoying a pint in a historic pub, spare a thought for the poor souls who lived through those times. Jump to the 19th century, and London's gone all industrial. Dickens is penning his tales and Queen Victoria is not amused. Now, if you're wondering why she was not amused, well, she had to deal with a city growing faster than a toddler on a sugar rush. During this era, London was the heart of the British Empire, a bustling hub of commerce and industry, with a population that quadrupled in size. But it wasn't all about numbers. The city was transforming, shedding its medieval skin to don a new modern facade. Landmarks we know and love today started to pop up like mushrooms. Big Ben, that towering symbol of London, rang out for the first time in 1859. But here's a fun fact for you. Big Ben isn't actually the name of the clock tower. Nope, it's the nickname for the great bell inside the tower. The tower itself was known as the Clock Tower until 2012, when it was renamed the Elizabeth Tower to celebrate the Diamond Jubilee of Queen Elizabeth II. But let's not forget the British Museum, a treasure trove of world history which opened its grand doors in 1857. The British Museum was free to all studious and curious persons. Oh, and one more thing, when you're rushing to catch a train at Paddington Station, remember the Victorians built it, and they did it without any of our modern tools. 20th century London had it all. A world war, the swinging 60s, and a wheel that really, really likes to turn. It's safe to say the 20th century was a wild ride for London, kicking off with 2 world wars that tested the city's mettle. The resilience of Londoners held strong, more than a match for the Blitz and rationing. But it wasn't all doom and gloom. In the aftermath, London emerged, dusted off the rubble, and dove headfirst into a cultural revolution that would change the world. The 60s swung into action, and with it London became the epicenter of pop culture. The Beatles, the Rolling Stones, Mary Quant's mini-skirts, you name it, London had it. It was a time of liberation, creativity, and pushing boundaries. One might say, London was like a rebellious teenager, experimenting with its identity and making a lot of noise in the process. Then, as the century neared its end, along came a giant wheel. The London Eye, an enormous Ferris wheel that was as audacious as it was impressive. During its construction, the London Eye was known as the Millennium Wheel and was formally opened by ex-Prime Minister Tony Blair on December the 31st in 1999. It was meant to be a temporary landmark, but is still gracing London and is one of its most popular attractions. And let's not forget, this giant wheel was erected right across from the Houses of Parliament, as if to say, "Hey, we're watching you." A cheeky bit of British humour, perhaps. So, the London Eye, a testament to London's spirit, bold, innovative, and unafraid to make a statement. From surviving wars to birthing pop culture icons, London's 20th century was a whirlwind of change. And there you have it, a city that's seen it all, done it all, and still keeps on ticking, just like that big old clock in the tower. So to answer the question posed at the start of this video, why do Brits drive on the left? Though it's not due to the Romans, the tale is fascinating. Legend says knights in ancient times would joust with lances in the right hand. They'd favour the left side of the road, allowing for more precise aim. Centuries later, lances were replaced with steering wheels, yet this tradition endured. London's journey is equally captivating. Originating as the Roman settlement of Londinium, it survived pestilence-filled medieval times, witnessed the opulence of the Victorian era, and evolved into the vibrant contemporary metropolis we recognise today. London consistently keeps us guessing, doesn't it? Its true allure lies in its perpetual ability to astonish. And should you ever find yourself feeling blue, take solace in the fact, at least you're not grappling with a medieval plague. If you enjoyed this video from Whys and Wherefores, please like and subscribe. Thank you for watching.